The date was December 31st, 2017, and after having just taken a trip to the luscious forests of Japan, popular vlogger Logan Paul posts what would become his most infamous video wherein he films a dead body and sets in motion a sequence of events that would cause advertisers to flee from the site and YouTube itself to turn into a desolate wasteland as the money had been drained. But in the wake of any disaster comes the looters to scavenge what's left. It's been nearly a year since that day, and I'm forced to consciously mull it over again and again. December 31st also served as the origin for an elusive criminal known only by his notorious yellow calling card left at the scenes of his crimes for victims to cower at. Each had their ad revenue stolen at complete random. The prevailing theory is that the criminal is allied with YouTube itself and seeks to wipe away ads marketed towards children on videos that theoretically wouldn't be viewed by them. Demonetized videos still technically have ads, but they're reserved for advertisers seeking to market to older audiences. But since kids are YouTube's largest demographic after all, this means that few, if any, ads will play on these videos due to the limited number of advertisers seeking to appeal to older individuals. Maybe this is just a built-in defense mechanism for preventing advertisers from wasting money, or to disallow ads to run on videos that would cause said advertisers to remove themselves from the site entirely out of moral outrage, much like what happened on December 31st. And while this was my first assumption, the fact is that even if this criminal actually had the backing of YouTube itself, he's abusing his power to steal revenue from videos that don't deserve having it removed by flagging seemingly everything in sight and redirecting the revenue to himself. In fact, the content of these demonetized videos hardly matters at all. When a video is demonetized, it's usually difficult to understand why. For this reason, he has been coined the untrusted flagger, or NEB for short. NEB, whether rogue or with the support of YouTube itself, is able to flag millions of videos every single day and funnel all the revenue to himself, equating to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth in Google AdSense money. Were he ever caught, he'd be incarcerated with felony levels of online theft and wire fraud, landing him life in prison. But for the past year, NEB's activity has been all but untraceable. Although now that Jonathan Tron has been elected as the new leader of YouTube, more attention is being put on tracking down such thieves and preventing them from draining the revenue of the users. That's where I come in. As an S-ranked YouTube hero and online internet detective, I have decided to finally track down this vile scum and return the revenue to those who deserve it. But in order to do that, I need to find the clues necessary to narrow down my search. There must be a pattern. Clearly the videos he hits must possess a few commonalities on the surface level that make them vulnerable to his attacks. And if these could be found, it may be possible to prevent him from demonetizing you, and zero in on NEB's identity altogether. So, it was at this point I decided that I would need to organize a sting. After having become eligible for YouTube monetization and applying for a review, I was granted the ability to monetize my videos. Strange, I know. But to my surprise, NEB had already combed through my backlog and begun unjustly stealing the revenue for himself. So, I scanned through the videos he hit to look for some form of relation and forwarded the results to a forensic scientist by the name of Nerd City, who has had experience with the untrusted flagger case in the past. He gave me a few pointers, and after having done a significant amount of research into the matter myself, I came to the following conclusions. The first of which being, NEB is able to track down videos to flag based on the metadata. For those of you who are unaware, metadata is the text-based information about a video, i.e. the description, title, and tags. For a guy who's most likely a skilled analyst, seeking out targets for demonetization through this method is easy. Chances are, NEB is using sophisticated softwares and YouTube's built-in sorting system to scan through thousands of videos and take away their ads by focusing his attention on specific keywords. These keywords may range from cusses, racial slurs, sexually suggestive stuff, words referencing controversial events or sensitive social issues, and anything that could be considered at all inappropriate in any context. By fanning out across the site and hitting these videos, NEB was able to successfully enact a seemingly foolproof strategy by playing on YouTube's oversensitivity and inability to recognize context, and thus found easy targets. So in order to defend yourself against NEB's attacks, your best bet is to wipe away any words that could be considered at all offensive, even if used in a harmless way. Because NEB doesn't take context into consideration, and YouTube definitely won't have enough backbone to stop him. If you want proof of how valuable metadata is, look no further than two videos I used to test this principle. The first was a video I made for a guy called CPU, who kept requesting I play Divine Divinity, so I uploaded an unlisted video where I show a minute of the menu only to have it fly off the screen and for me to say I won't play it. Then, the screen just shows my background for the next 10 minutes or so. Nothing about this video is warranting of demonetization. Now, if you want to make an argument that it should have been flagged as spam and deleted, I wouldn't blame you there, but that's not the question. In terms of being advertiser friendly, this video is 100% in the clear. At least, it would have been if it wasn't for this. The last tag is I hate my life, and I hate CPU. And if you want to argue that this tag wasn't to blame for this video getting its ads removed, let me call attention to the fact that I posted the exact same video as a second test, with the only difference being that the footage was in sync with the visuals, because I messed up the first time. And wouldn't you know it, that version is monetized, and the only difference being it doesn't have that edgy tag. Considering this, it's pretty safe to say that inappropriate metadata makes one vulnerable to thievery at the hands of Neb. The second key factor in avoiding Neb, as well as what could be the second clue in tracking him down, is the fact that he uses software to scan the thumbnails as well. This is done through technology that is publicly available, meaning you yourself could utilize this as a form of defense. What you need to do is go to this site and upload the thumbnail you intend to use for your video. The site will then evaluate it and look for the same inappropriate material as Neb does for the metadata. It will read any text on the screen, it will use facial recognition to read the expressions of the people on it, try to look for anything sexually suggestive, and even try to guess the mood by examining the color palette. Hope they like yellow. Now, the reason as to why Neb uses thumbnails to judge which videos are best suited for his attention rather than the actual content is likely because he's lazy. I mean, he has to do this thousands of times per day. Even with advanced software for seeking out videos and alleged support of YouTube itself, he clearly doesn't have enough time to watch each video and lash out at the ones that actually deserve it. Instead, he just uses the same programs as YouTube itself to abuse the system. He's essentially the internet's biggest tattletale. The third and most difficult obstacle in avoiding Neb is the captions. In addition to the thumbnail, description, tags, and title, Neb will also use special software to read the captions and look for the same inappropriate material that I mentioned prior. The fourth and final tactic used by Neb is one I was previously unfamiliar with before internet forensics expert Nerd City shed some light into the subject, and that tactic was manually flagging videos. Apparently, if a video is flagged enough, ads will be revoked, and this leads me to Neb's next tactic. Spies. You could make a case that Neb is mass flagging videos himself, but a more likely possibility is the fact that Neb has associates who he splits the ad revenue with in order to help track down videos to flag. This would divide up the effort quite easily and make it possible to pull off thievery this widespread. You may be inclined to believe that this tactic essentially makes the others useless because he could just flag every video regardless of content, but just remember that a lot of YouTubers have their videos hit before they're even public yet, implying that he does in fact have the support of YouTube itself. That or he watched my shameless Google Plus tutorial on how to access unlisted videos. It's because of Neb that most YouTubers will upload a video unlisted a day or two ahead of time, so if he hits it before it comes out, they won't lose any money. Simply because the video won't be public yet and it won't have any views. So if it does happen, they just have to re-upload the video a few hours later. Rinse and repeat until it finally goes under his radar, but even then there's nothing saying he won't find it once it's public, so just hope he's exceptionally lazy that day. So in short, if you want to defend yourself against untrusted flagger, do the following. 1. Don't put anything even remotely controversial in the video's title, description, or tags. 2. Use this site to scan your thumbnail ahead of time to ensure that YouTube doesn't find it even remotely inappropriate. 3. Censor all cuss words. 4. Upload it unlisted ahead of time to make sure you did steps 1 to 3 right. 5. Hope Neb doesn't find it once it goes public. 6. Hope none of Neb's spies find it once it goes public. 7. Be lucky because you might get demonetized anyway. Now, with all that said, despite how much I've insulted YouTube, they had been doing something about this prior to the election of Jonathan Tron. Not tightening security, but restricting the ability for demonetized videos to grow in the algorithm, thereby cutting off the revenue stream to Neb and viewers to the user. Well, at least you can restore ads on the video if Neb hits it. Well, if it gets 1,000 views in the past week, and even if it can get that amount of views and be approved, they will still deprioritize it in the algorithm, even if it gets ads back. Fuck YouTube. But that was before Jonathan Tron took office. With him in charge, there have been a few changes that I'm delighted to say will actually give the user a fair chance while also cutting into Neb's revenue stream. I have reason to believe that YouTube runs frequent full channel evaluations of a user's entire backlog. By doing so, it rescans older videos in an attempt to more accurately determine if their monetization status is justified. In other words, YouTube's bots will spontaneously demonetize or remonetize older videos, presumably to get a more accurate result as the bots become better and better at detecting inappropriate content. My evidence to this is the fact that there have been 3 or 4 instances in the past 4 months wherein multiple videos on my channel have had their monetization status flipped at complete random. In fact, as of now, I have never had an old video randomly be demonetized unless at least one other had its monetization status affected too. I have no idea what triggers these waves of automated reviews, but what I do know is that if you follow the aforementioned steps I laid out for you with a video that's already demonetized, the next time one of these waves hits you, the bots may change their decision and re-enable ads on the video. In fact, this is the case with every video that had its ads revoked for the reasons associated with metadata. Once I removed the tags for the videos mentioned earlier, both were given ads again. But now keep in mind, I don't recommend doing this for videos that actually deserve demonetization. But all I'm gonna say is that these methods can work either way. So do what you want, I don't care. And besides, Neb tends to demonetize you either way, so the contents of the video hardly matter. You can follow all these stupid guidelines, but at the end of the day, it won't make any difference. So whether you're a neckbeard cuck or an autistic edgelord, you'll get the same treatment from Neb because money is money and he doesn't care where it comes from. Now, unfortunately, Jonathan Tron hasn't gotten around to having bots reverse the damage getting demonetized does to a video's ability to get picked up by the algorithm, but at least it's a start. Now, as the identity of Neb himself, these clues paint a vivid image. In short, he's a guy who seeks out hundreds of videos on YouTube every day with the promise of of easy revenue, has a wide circle of people following him for assistance, but most importantly, he probably hides his true identity to evade detection since his real name is associated with his employment at YouTube. It's obvious. He was always there, sitting in plain sight, sitting in the comment section of the very videos he stripped of revenue. Who else is able to fan out and find as much content as Justin Y? The man who acquired thousands of subscribers by simply seeking out popular videos to comment on by reviewing the statistics to ensure that it was gaining popularity so his name would spread. If you're unaware who Justin Y is, just look down in the comment section of any video ever and he's probably there. He's essentially the #1 placeholder of the 100,000 subscribers with no videos challenge, and has gained a massive following simply by building a presence in video comment sections and doing so long enough to become a well-known internet figure. When in actuality, this was because he was seeking out videos that would have the potential to gain a large amount of revenue that he could pocket for himself. His status as a well-known commenter was only a byproduct of his true goal. I mean, seriously, who would go to all that trouble just to comment on popular videos? All that just to become a living meme? I don't think so. But that being said, how do we stop him? How do we put a stop to this man's reign of terror and get back all the money we've lost and return YouTube to its original status as a utopian-esque landscape? Good question, I don't know.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Just Jargon, faggot. $5 well spent.
But if he comments on this video, and by some coincidence it also ends up losing its precious ads, that's all the evidence I'll need to prosecute his ass.